Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, the Crypto Hipster, Jamil Hassan, where I bring you founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, artists, musicians, you name it, all over the world in crypto and blockchain. And today and the summer season, I am bringing to you a new compilation episode. Last year, from seasons 1, 2, and 3, I brought you the Crypto Hipsters Chronicles. And now, from season 4 and 5, without further ado, I bring you the Crypto Hipsters Mysticals. And what that is, what it was last year, and what it is this year, it's a compilation. It's a compilation of 3 or 4 podcasts together as like a montage. And on a certain topic or area of interest in crypto and blockchain, pulling from my podcasts. And now, as we're heading into the summer of 2023, I bring to you the Crypto Hipsters Mysticals. And there's going to be 22 or 23 or 24 around their episodes. And I look forward to you looking forward to it. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for enjoying my podcasts. And this is going to be a summer treat for everybody. So please sit back, enjoy, and let me know your thoughts. This is Crypto Hipsters Mysticals, episode 13, Overcoming Web 2 Catastrophes to Help the World Embrace Web 3. This podcast is a compilation from 4 clips from 4 Crypto Hipsters podcasts during seasons 4 and 5. First is Shawn Cheng, who is a partner at Consensys Mesh. Second, McHugh, who is the Chief Growth Officer at SHOPX. Third, Benjamin Gabay, who is the Chief Marketing Officer and co-founder at CrunchDAO. And fourth, Elena Nadolinski, who is the Chief Executive Officer at the Iron Fish Foundation. Enjoy.
I don't want to shift gears to talk about a bad guy, but some bad things happened last week in crypto around FTX. And you mentioned, people say we're headed into a crypto winter, or when we head into a recession. What do you think is the FTX, the fallout of FTX? I'm not to get into detail what they did, right? But what do you think the fallout's going to be, and what do you think the media impacts are going to be, and how this industry is affected, and how do we move forward positively?
Yeah, that is something that's unfolding in real time as we speak. I don't think we've fully seen everything shake out. I believe that the second and third order effects of FTX and even in the most recent $400 million backdoor drain still being researched and kind of worked through right now. And so once criminal charges are placed against the team and the company, which I'm pretty certain that might happen, we're going to see that probably used by many people in the political realm to probably justify a little bit of overreach. When much of our industry has self-regulated or wanted to ask for frameworks in order to really comply, but then also ensure that people are safe and that they aren't losing their shirts. And so I think as we see FTX kind of the culmination of this series of really, really awful events between Terra Luna and Celsius and Voyager and some of the other parties out there, I really do think that we're going to see those types of approaches become places where people are much less willing to try as their first touch point in crypto, which we had always hoped that C-DeFi or CeFi was going to be this mass adoption on ramp, and that those folks would really help expand those users into Web3 native ways. But now our industry is focused on compliance, regulation, and also focused a lot on Web3 native things that people just didn't seem to care about before, like self-custody is all of a sudden and decentralization as key features. Year after year, after working in the space for over 5 years or so, people have wanted to say that those things are just too esoteric, and those things are just too far from being valuable or immediately applicable to an end user. But maybe in facing this pain and seeing many people get taken advantage of, or now have all their funds in some sort of arbitration process for the next 5 or 8 years with FTX, now we might see self-custody and using things like a hot wallet in MetaMask or a ledger or Trezor, and putting stuff into a cold wallet as something that should be more and more commonplace. And so $150 for a cold storage wallet is a pretty cheap price to pay for peace of mind. And I think the industry is going to bounce back eventually, but we're going to go through, I think, a substantial amount of pain over the next couple quarters, and then see these events being used as the primary justification for things that may not necessarily make sense for what this technology ultimately means for society, which is greater degrees of power and freedom and autonomy from centralized authorities that aren't fully transparent. So maybe we start to move towards systems that are much more progressive and proactive about sharing about what assets are in their treasuries. So some sort of dynamic verification of assets actually being available. But I also think we're going to need a possibly a protocol or a system that allows for us to automatically verify the total amount of liabilities that a company or a system has within it. And so the adage of moving from further away from just trusting for the sake of trusting because of fancy credentials or he said, she said, or a system that really caters to people that already have power may move further and further towards verification. And so is this the second version of what Bernie Madoff had built, and the cartel or cabal of people in his family and in his inner circle at all these other regulatory bodies? Is this what is happening with FTX and SBF? Potentially, but we're only 3 days in, four days into even the discovery of these things, and so I'm hesitant to say what the ultimate impact is, but I definitely don't think this is the end of it, or we're anywhere close to the bottom of what this means for our industry as a whole yet.
Talking about the bad news, right? I have to go back 100 years, more than 100, 120 years. And Teddy Roosevelt says it's not the critic who counts. It's basically the people who are in the game building. So why do the critics not matter? Why do the people in the game matter more? And what words of wisdom do you have for people who might accidentally, take critics' words for it instead of being participating? As a founder, as somebody new in this, not new, you're 29, but you're younger than me. What are your thoughts on how people can navigate that?
I mean, it's pretty easy to critique, and right now we're building the infrastructure for when new people come in, they have a real use case or something interesting. I mean, advice to someone new in the space would just be to obviously do your own research, start small, 0 to 1, get a little bit. That'll incentivize you to research. once you have skin in the game, you're generally good to go.
And how have you done it? What was your story staying in there? Because you've stuck in it. So how have you done it?
Yeah, so I had my first obviously I heard about it in like 2014. I bought some for reasons, but I never hold. And then in 2016 is when I got my deep dive in, so that's when I got interested again. So I had my core group of friends ones that like Coinbase. They're all spread out the crypto space, but we had a group chat. We'd always be like sending each other podcasts, asking each other questions. So we had a good group. We were all DCAing and we all weren't selling. Because like, why would I don't want to sell a piece of the future. It's like, I would personally rather have the Bitcoin than dollars. So if you want to sell it to me for cheaper, thank you very much. Have a nice day, type of thing.
And patience is a big deal, right? So how have you been able to be patient and sit through like ups and downs in the market and the ups and downs in the negative in the comments and in the news? How have you been able to navigate all that? Because a lot of people I know that I grew up with, as soon as the first sign of bad news on market goes, they sell. They're like, I'm at it. Like, how do you like? I've been in it 5 years too, but I want to find out from you how you've been able to have that commitment and the patience to stay.
Yeah, so to be honest, I don't really pay attention too much to the bad news. Oh my gosh, it's another thing. The technology is like, if there's something wrong with the code or anything like that, I'd pay attention to. But Kim Kardashian and getting sued by the SEC, I'm like, all right, whatever. And so I also don't check price that much. So the way I look at it is, it's going to go up in the long term. So let's say you check price 5 times over the next 5 years. There's a high probability each time you check it over the next 5, if you check it only 5 times, it's going to be up, which will give you a green hit, like a happy moment. But if you check it 10 times throughout the day where it's extremely volatile, it'll be like 6 red hits, which are negative, 4 green hits. So the thing is, and the red doesn't cancel out the green. So it's like, if I'm in it for the long term, why would I subject myself to a negative moment? So like, for example, if I were to check price right now, it could be down 0.5%. I'm just like, well, it's not at 60, it's not at 69 anymore. That's kind of a meh, but it will be back there. So it's like, if it's going to be, phrase I like to use is like, once a train leaves the station, there's no point to frantically run around. The best thing you could do is sit back and enjoy the ride. So I made a decision to not check price as much. That's how I stay sane.
It's really smart. I remember the day that I think Bitcoin went from like 10,000 to like 15,000 in a day, and I had my cardiologist appointment, and we did the EKG, and he's like, something's wrong with the EKG. What's going on? And I was like, oh, the price of Bitcoin went up, and I got to do this on a different day, So
Don't get me wrong. At a point, obviously, I was checking like the price in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. I like wake up, all right, let's check the Bitcoin price. It's down, and then just like go back to sleep. But then I'm like, this is not helpful in any way. I'm still gonna buy at any price. I'm just gonna buy. I'm not gonna sell. Yeah.
if you look at it, like I used to look at it 10 times an hour.
So, oh yeah, no, we go hard.
It's more. It's. I found to be more at peace if I check it irregularly, infrequently.
Yes.
Yeah. Good advice, man. Thank you. so, I guess you're familiar with ChatGPT, right? Everybody is.
Yeah.
I think, and there are some biases built in to the artificial intelligence, to the community power. So what are the societal benefits and detriments too of leveraging the collective power?
The social benefits are huge. Imagine that you can do this in a hospital, in an ICU, and you can predict or detect when a body or when someone will die, or when a heart attack will happen. Imagine that you can detect brain cancer, or that you can detect, there is something that is very common with the stock market is very noisy, And for example, you never know when there will be a crash, and this is exactly the same thing with your body. Maybe just the temperature of your body went 1 degree too much or 0.1 degree too much, and then it triggers a systemic response from your body, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but it can also depend on hundreds of different factors, So what we say is that there are a lot of noise, and it's very difficult to see when something will trigger something else. For example, let's say it's the same with an avalanche. An avalanche, sometimes the temperature is going a bit high, but nothing happens. But then just because the pressure is a bit different, then an avalanche is triggered. It's a mechanism that is very, very, very complex to understand. And this mechanism, this avalanche mechanism, is the same in the stock market. It's the same in the sand. It's the same in your body. It's always tiny different things that makes the difference and that will trigger a response. And it's the same with the weather also. And if we are able to predict or to understand what will happen, because we have thousands of people predicting the weather together, or predicting or improving models together, then I think that the society will benefit a lot of it, and I hope that maybe one day we will be able to do this. We are starting with finance, but why not in some years doing another thing like healthcare or weather prediction, or also space weather prediction. We have our lead quant is specialized in space weather. So this is something that we could do, and this is something that we have in mind.
And the detriments?
The detriments, I don't see so many. I see people creating value together, and I think that I don't see detriments. I think that it's just communities that can act for the good. Today, for us, it's the market, but once the technology is ready and it's working already, then it will be very profitable for many other verticals, in many other industries. And I wish there are a lot of people that do the same on many different industries.
I got to shift gears now because you said two words together that got my attention. You said social collusion. And I think of social media. When you say that, I think of social media. And right now, this past week, there's been there was a launch by Instagram called Threads, which is a competitor to Twitter. And a lot of people were jumping up and down saying they would love the idea of, Threads. And I'm like, that's still Web 2. That's not Web 3. And there are privacy benefits to Web 3 of people, not handing over their data to Facebook or to Twitter, right? What are the privacy benefits of Web 3? And what do we need to do to be able to mitigate our privacy concerns from popular Web 2 platforms to embrace Web 3?
Yeah, great questions. This is exactly why we're building Ironfish. So it's going to be a bit of a preamble, but in Web 2, whenever Web 2 breaks its promise of privacy, we have catastrophic events. So we have data leaks, we have doxing, we have harassment, we have identity fraud. So for Web 2 actually tries to retain your privacy to some extent. And like you said, like your data does get used by Facebook and whatnot, but we have this like pretty basic expectation of privacy. For instance, if you use your any of one of your banks, even if you use Venmo in private, you have this expectation that that data is not revealed to the world. And when that does get broken, like I said, we have catastrophic events. And so here's like some examples. There's an app called Strava, which I use for running. It's an app that a lot of athletes use to track their runs. They had this pretty massive data leak at some point that revealed the location of army bases, because soldiers would go and use Strava on their daily runs and would reveal location of army bases, across the world, that were supposed to be secret. There are many other situations of like data leaks where victims would be doxxed and their addresses would be revealed to the world. Gamergate was a pretty terrible example of that to some extent. So again, when Web 2 breaks its promise of privacy, we have catastrophic events. Okay, but for Web 3, we have no privacy. Like, there's not even a possibility of a data leak because everything is out in the open. Everything you do for Web 3 currently, with a few exceptions of the privacy protocols that we mentioned, everything is out in the open. So if you use, Ethereum, you can go on Etherscan, you can look at your wallet, you can see all the transactions, but everyone else can too. So everyone can see what exchange you've used, what NFTs you might hold. So based on your exchanges, I might know who you are. Based on your NFTs, I might know your wealth. I can look at some of the other wallets that you funded. Maybe you were trying to de-anonymize and you funded different wallets. There are even websites that will now link people's wallets together because, like NFT whales might want to have different wallets so that they might purchase or sell NFTs without moving the market. And even that doesn't work because their wallets are linked. And so everything you do in Web3 currently is 100% in the open. And so it's kind of I think like if Web3 is going to win, it's going to have to be Web 2++. It's going to have to be Web 2 and better. And right now it's not. It is different, but I don't think it is actually better. And one of the things that I think is tremendously worse at is privacy. For Web 2, at least we have some we have some expectations of privacy, despite all the things that you mentioned. And for Web 3, there's just simply zero expectations of privacy. Everything's out in the open. Anyway, so that's why we're building Ironfish. This is exactly why we're building Ironfish, is to make sure that crypto has this missing Lego piece for privacy. And we're building Ironfish to be that.